Hey guys, welcome back. We have some more issues with counterfeit cards. This time, Bandai Anime Collection Carddass. I've done a lot of reading. I've reached out to a lot of experts on the subject, mostly because I want to be sure that this information is 100% correct to the best ability of everyone's knowledge collectively. I was originally informed by Daisy here of the current issue. It is worse than ever right now with them popping up everywhere. Graded, not graded. There was previous issues. There's new issues. So we're going to go through a lot of examples. We're going to look at the reasons why a card is counterfeit or unlicensed versus real. This is an area that not a lot of people get into, and it might be something that people branch off into eventually and unknowingly end up buying or selling these counterfeit cards. So it's important that we go through the details, that the information is available for everyone. And there's certainly going to be some steps necessary from the grading companies, because that's why people grade cards. At least a large reason why people grade cards is to, or purchase graded cards, is to guarantee that authenticity. And it looks like the grading companies maybe jumped the gun, maybe didn't entirely have the experts needed in order to grade these. So before we saw issues with the Prism Carddass anime collection, now more so with the non-holos. The grading companies are getting better at catching fake prisms, but now the non-holo fakes, they're everywhere. A lot of these examples that we'll take a look at they're all online right now. They're for sale. They're being advertised by people that are collectors, sellers, everywhere. So you'll see sometimes these are sold as either error cards, or they'll say that they're from Hong Kong. This was the print from Hong Kong. They're unlicensed. There's no evidence to lead anyone to believe that this was a real authorized thing that happened. The cards aren't the same. There's no reason for it. And later on, we'll take a little bit of a gander at some evidence that really points against that. So not only is there no reason to believe that these were licensed in Hong Kong, but also the fact that, the packaging is deceptive indicates the complete opposite, that these are just a ripoff. As usual with things that are slightly different, that are copied. Unknowing whether these are an older print to catch the hype at the time or something that happened later on. So if anyone has information on that, it is unfortunate, but a lot of it has been popping up recently, which makes me kind of doubt that it was an original printing or an original copy at the time. This set, this vending series, has 8 different parts that were released quarterly from 1998 to 2000. There's an awesome thread that we'll take a look at the end of the video here, and I'll provide links to both Daisy's Instagram. She has a very cool collection and definitely an enthusiast in the area. And then also I'll provide a link to the E4 thread as well. So if anyone has anything to add, as always, happy to learn. Please provide some information in the comments or reach out to me if you'd like. If there's anything that we can add to it, it would be awesome. Collectively, I think we can sort this out, put an end to this. Hopefully, the grading companies, for the cards that are already graded, that are out there, first of all, stop grading them if they're not licensed, and second of all, try to get them back. And I don't know what kind of payout and or means need to be taken here. I mean, it's kind of in their best interest as well, especially PSA with the guarantee that they don't want these to grow in value. I think they already have significantly. It's not something that I watch the market price on, but I would imagine with everything else in the 2020, 2021, as Pokemon has become insanely popular, collectibles in general all shot up. This is going to be an area where you kind of want to tame the beast before it gets completely out of control. So right here, we have a fake card straight away in a PSA case. So again, do your own research. if this is something that you want to get into, you should be watching this video. You should be going through the entire thread on E4 and making yourself as knowledgeable as possible on this stuff before getting into it, before just going out and buying a bunch of it. And hopefully this makes people a little bit more aware that they can point this stuff out, advise people that maybe don't know that they're selling fakes. A lot of the time people do know that they're selling fakes, but obviously you're going to play dumb about it. So right here on the back, we notice something very significant here down at the bottom where it has the Bandai copyright, and then it should say made in Japan. If it does not, straight giveaway. This is almost as bad as the Top Sun Charizard. If it doesn't have this, this is not a licensed card. Sorry to burst your bubble. And this sucks for anyone that has a large collection of this, but hopefully PSA can make it right. So here's a real copy right here. And I think these are all recent listings. So they might not be available at the time of the video going up, but at least all relevant and recent listings. And it'll highlight, I think, a lot of the issues that we're seeing. So here's the real card with the made in Japan on the back down at the bottom here. Now, there are counterfeits that do have made in Japan, but straight away, this is probably the first thing you should look for. If someone's selling one and they're only showing the front of the card, there's a good reason for it. They're probably trying to hide the fact that it doesn't have this made in Japan. It could be coincidence, but make sure you look at the back of the card before you purchase one. Here we have a size comparison and the corner comparison. So side by side, you can see here that the fake card is much larger. The corners are much rounder than the real card on the right side here. So here's side by side comparison with your made in Japan, either present or not present. Straight away, it's real or fake. Good first place to look. You should still be checking other criteria. Great if you have examples nearby to check the size, to check the corners, to check the print. I'm sure magnification as well would probably give you a pretty good idea of whether or not it's real or fake. Now, getting into another issue that I think was more of an issue earlier on, but still you can find examples where these are being sold. Here is a Prism card that should not be a Prism. There's no Prism version of this. It's a fake card. It's graded. So you'll notice these are extremely low pop. They're going to be low pop because I can't imagine many of them are going to be graded. Here is a little sneak preview of the thread on E4 that we'll take a look at the end. Here is what the actual card should look like. No, it does not have foil of any kind on it. There's no foil version that was released under license. So not to pick on anyone here, but here's another example on eBay where someone is selling a bunch of the fake ones. Again, they might have picked these up from somebody else. They might have graded them themselves, not knowing that they were fake. That authenticity that PSA in this example is providing is only making the problem worse because now the seller probably thinks they're legitimate. The buyers probably think they're legitimate. And the more hands it changes, the harder it's going to be to get all these back. Only PSA is going to know exactly who graded all of these, whether that was intentional or not, whether they were trying to get them passed through the system, or whether maybe they bought a whole box and they didn't realize, hey, these are fake, and they sent them in. That'll all have to be investigated on their end. So here, this is just one of the examples from the eBay listings. And you know what? Like, it's not gigantic dollar values, but it's still enough that if these are creeping up and there's that many of them out there, if there's that many that were graded, this is a huge issue for everyone, both collectors of it, for the grading companies. I think most of the ones that are popping up recently have been PSA graded, but BGS has been known to grade fakes in the past as well. And if they're doing it, there's a pretty good chance XYZ grading, pop-up 2020, 2021 grading is doing the same thing or would do the same thing, provided they actually grade them. Most of these pop-up grading companies grade everything under the sun, whether they know about it or not. So if the big boys can't catch this stuff, I know someone's going to leave it in the comments, but the little boys are not going to either. So here we have another example. These are just all recent examples where you have the missing made in Japan on the back. Again, dead giveaway. Should be a dead giveaway. Should be known by PSA and any other grading company that is authenticating these. In terms of fake cards, I guess they look decent, but if you know what you're looking for, the size, the shape, all of that should be a dead giveaway, especially the ones that don't have made in Japan on the back. They should have examples on hand of the fakes, of the real ones. So if anyone is being assigned to grading this type of card, they know what they're looking at. Mr. Mime here, another missing made in Japan, missing made in Japan. Here we have we're going to have an example of this is a fake one. So it's a little bit hard to tell in the case, and maybe if you don't have them side by side in terms of the size and the corners. But if you do put them side by side, if you have real examples, make sure you have real examples on hand. And even a fake example, if you're buying these for yourself, whether they're graded or not, know the differences. Here we have the fake Bulbasaur, and this is a real Bulbasaur. So how they don't notice these when they're putting them in the case as well is a little bit of a strange thing to me. You would think that they would have some kind of example of these cards, unless they're just tossing them in the cases. Maybe they were so inexpensive at the time that they were just gonna toss them in slabs. But it's hard to say. Well, take a look at the PSA cert numbers as well, which will tell you the general age of when these were getting graded. And again, someone might have sent them in mass even years ago and now selling them. But there's a lot on the market at the moment, a lot of fake ones on the market at the moment. So here we go. We got a couple nice examples of some real boys. Now, this is why I think the missing made in Japan cards are BS. The people that want to say that they're a different print run or an error or anything like that. When you have the packaging here that says made in Japan, but they don't want to put made in Japan on the cards themselves. This packaging is not how any of these series were released. They wouldn't be in plastic like this. So this is probably the typical fashion in which you would find these bootleg cards. And if you see clear plastic over top, red flag right away. Even if you don't notice the shape and the lacking made in Japan on the back, which is kind of funny, kind of ironic that they're going to claim that. If they were made in Japan and even shipped elsewhere to be sold elsewhere in a different form of packaging, they're not going to take the made in Japan off of the card itself. And again, why wouldn't they be translated or something of the like? You would think people who don't speak Japanese would probably want the cards in a language that they can actually read. No offense to anyone that collects Japanese Pokemon cards. So here we go. We got some more pictures of the plastic wrap. This is how they actually come. They have these paper bands around them, so they can be inserted into the machines. And here we go. We got like an insert card on the back side. Here's some examples. And these also from D-Tibbs Art. Lots of pictures. She's opened boxes. This is what the box looks like. If the box looks different than this, or the packaging looks different than this, you probably have something counterfeit. And here we go. Even on the box, it says made in Japan. Some more examples here. We have a Jinx with the, again, missing made in Japan on the back side of it. So everywhere you look, there's these counterfeit cards. A lot of them being graded by these grading companies, which is only adding fuel to the fire. Again, it takes quite a bit of time and research to know this much about them. If someone's just a casual collector and they see these cards and they like them and they remember a certain scene that they're attached to, they would just want to pick some up for fun. They're not going to spend enough time looking into these to know, hey, this card that's authenticated by a company isn't actually real. So I think even some people that have been in the hobby a long time and don't touch on this specific stuff, if they're not into this type of card, if they're more into set cards, even if they're more into trophies or anything like that, they're not going to spend enough time to discover all this on their own. So that's where we come in. We're going to make it a little bit more accessible and easy for people to notice. And at least, even if they don't watch the entire video here, even if they don't go to the E4 thread to look through that, at least they have a warning sign to, you know, hey, maybe I should look into this before I start purchasing these en masse. And here's another example before we get into the E4 thread of a prism card that isn't supposed to be a prism card. How these got graded, I don't know. The set lists are available, and we'll take a look at those in just a moment here. All right, so here we are on E4. If you're looking into collecting something obscure, something in different languages, something that most people don't know a whole lot about, including grading companies, E4 is probably your place. This isn't my area of expertise, but obviously there's some people that are dedicated to this, enough so that even rainbowgx here has put together what I can only describe as a giant guide and reference, which is extremely useful. And there's no reason that you shouldn't be looking through this whole thing if this is the type of card that you want to actually collect. Make sure that you're not getting counterfeits, whether they're graded or not. If you want to know the history, if you want to know how they should look, this is the place. A huge amount of work went into this, and it's kind of insane actually how much did. So thanks to E4, thanks to Rainbow, thanks to anyone and everyone that reached out to me about these cards. Without you guys, I guess this video would not be happening. So credit to everyone, especially Daisy and Rainbow here, who have made this very easy. Well, I wouldn't say very easy, very laid out and very approachable. If this is your cup of tea, you're going to want to go through this whole thing. We're going to skim through it, but here we go. We got the Carddass, Pocket Monsters, Pokemon, Anime Collection, Discussion, and Visual Reference. So we got a brief contextual history here. We got the different series. And then even guides here by date, which is really awesome. I guess that was Pokemon Central for the table that was included there. So we'll quickly skim through these. These are cool and would be even more cool in a binder now that I'm looking through them. That I've already previously looked through these, scrolled through these. Very cool. Usually I'm not a huge fan of where they just take a screenshot from the anime, essentially. But I think they did a pretty good job with this, especially considering the time when these came out. And there's definitely a section down here underneath the cards themselves. And this is also a good reference if you need to check if you come across a Prism card that you think probably shouldn't be a Prism card. This is where you should check. It's going to either show it's a Prism or it's not a Prism. If it's not a Prism on here, there shouldn't be a Prism. That's a counterfeit card. And you can pretty much end your search at that. Insane amount of artwork that's been tossed in here. Try and go a little bit quicker. Again, this is I can only imagine how much work it was even just to assemble the images in such a clean and searchable fashion. One of many great resources on E4. So let's read the FAQ. Are they stickers or cards? Strictly speaking, they are cards. There are sticker overlays on the hidden Prism cards, though. Those stickers have no non-Prism counterpart in the set, meaning the image on the sticker is unique and only released in sticker form. What are hidden prisms? Answer: some of the sets contain a hidden prism, which is essentially a secret rare. These cards are truly secret and hidden from view unless you know what to look for. They appear normal, however, when their outer sticker is removed, they reveal a previously concealed prism. The boxes containing these secret prisms only house a maximum of 1 per box, unlike the other prisms, which often contain duplicates. They are considered rare, and both the unpeeled and peeled versions have been desirable to collectors. The following are hidden prisms. So again, if you're outside of these bounds, you are probably into the fake card territory. And again, if you have some and you're unsure, reach out on E4. You can either reach out to me or if you make a thread or contact these people that are they have so much expertise in this area that it's unbelievable, but it's something that they love. It's a passion of theirs. And I'm sure they would be happy to answer your questions. Can I see a box opening? So we have the Japanese YouTuber's video here. We'll show that on screen right there. Pretty cool. And you can see how the box is laid out, how it's packaged, everything of the sort. We looked at pictures of that, but if you wanted to see how the box is actually opened and laid out, that's a great resource as well. I'm sure there are others. I know there's definitely photos, as we've seen from D-Tibbs. She has photos of boxes that she's opened. So, do they grade well? They do, and the PSA pop reports attest to this. However, much like everything else vintage within the Pokemon community, cards in clean and pristine condition are becoming harder to come by, with many of the boxes rarely making an appearance on the international public market. So I remember seeing boxes for sale, and that's the thing too. If you're grading them straight from the box, they're probably going to do very well, especially with the printed in Japan. Typically, the quality control on trading cards and such is extremely good. So if you're not buying them used, probably going to grade really well. Where can I get them? If you want graded cards, then eBay is still your best bet. You can also get raw cards on eBay. Additionally, you can search on both Yahoo and Mercari, but there isn't the same turnover rate as previous Carddass generations. These are not as readily accessible, and complete parts don't appear all that often. Is there anything I should know before purchasing any of these cards? So here, answer right away, and definitely a good point. Beware of counterfeits. Most of them aren't too difficult to spot, as counterfeiters tend to turn any card into a prism. Again, that was kind of a previous thing, and now we're dealing with more of the non-hollows without the made in Japan on them, whether originally it is or not. Most of the other indicators to check are the copyright information isn't missing or altered, the image ratio and placement is correct, the coloring is accurate and vivid, and the overall image and text appear clear. I will probably go into greater detail at some point, but really just knowing what the original prism hollow pattern looks like and knowing which ones are prisms will get you most of the way across the line. Counterfeiters think that if they take a set of cards which are largely undocumented publicly, these are definitely that, and then scan the images and then print them onto some shiny stock that makes them seem rare, then they can sell them off to flippers and or collectors. Here's an example of some counterfeits. So again, when you start getting into different holofoil patterns and such, probably a dead giveaway that we're looking at counterfeit cards. Some more examples here. So even if you can't compare yours to something here or the real ones, maybe we can take a look at them individually. If you compare them to the reference images I provided, you can see these aren't supposed to be prisms, hollows. They are counterfeits containing complete copyright information and the Made in Japan footer. Unfortunately, the listing has 12 bids on it already and 3 days to go. So this is probably an old listing, but same thing kind of applies. But even PSA and Beckett have graded similar counterfeits, and I haven't checked these cert numbers to see if they actually, I would imagine that when they can pull them in, they're going to deactivate the cert number so that when you look it up in the database, so that's probably a good place to start as well. But even if they haven't deactivated it yet, I would imagine that PSA is going to retrieve these cards and kind of pay out with the guarantee, which is going to be a huge headache because it seems like there are a lot of them. So here we go, number 2, number 3. And again, some of these you can tell just by the foil or the prism, if you want to call it that, is definitely not the correct type. Here's the example that we looked at before. I'm pretty sure that's the same example. It might be a different, same but different. Have to check the cert number there. We got the Zapdos here. These are just a handful of examples, so be a little careful. I will finish this thread here for the moment. Some quick notes in closing. My collection is in storage, so I collated images from various sources, auction listings, store listings, eBay listings, etc. for the images contained in the visual reference. That is why the quality ranges from decent to potato, and also why the colors vary greatly. It's not meant to be a detailed gallery, just a basic visual reference to know what each card is and whether it's prism, hollow, or not. And yes, I aligned them all manually in Photoshop, and it took forever. If I have made any mistakes or omissions, please be patient with me. So that's the thing too. So we see here, we got some Beckett's in there too. I haven't come across a whole lot of those in the wild at the moment. So maybe those are a little bit more tame and or retrieved by BGS at this point in time. But keep an eye out regardless of the grading company, regardless of whether they're graded or not. And hopefully this helps somebody out. Thanks for tuning in. See you guys next time. Join the Discord when you get a chance.